What you gonna do, brother, when Jeff Townsend Media runs wild on you?
All right, Luke, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound good. You're in the dungeon there, the recording studio.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
I like it a lot. You look good. It looks good. Yeah, okay, everybody's filing in here. Yas, more scary stories, somebody said. Yas, I guess you're right. So, give it just one more second here, let people file in, then we'll officially get it going. So, so what we'll do is you'll go first, then me, then you, then me, then you can share your personal.
Sounds good.
I think that'll time out well then. All right, let's just go ahead and get it going. All right. Welcome to Your Scary Stories live here on this fine Monday evening. Of course, I am Jeff Townsend, and joining me as always is Luke in his new and improved recording environment.
Yeah, I think it should maybe sound better. I don't know.
I think it already sounds better.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, people are already saying they like your new setup. So yeah, man. Welcome to the way. It's the way to go, you know?
Yeah.
So, of course, everybody. Yeah, people saying it sounds better, Luke, so we'll take it.
That's good.
This is Your Scary Stories, the show where we share your scary stories live on the air or a collection of stories from around the internet. And tonight will be no different. We have some great ones in store tonight. Luke, are you excited about your stories? And hey, just as a surprise here at the end, you're going to share some more personal paranormal stuff that you've been experiencing.
Yeah. Some really creepy things that have been happening while in my workshop in the garage.
Oh, just a working man. The American dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, don't miss that. Make sure you stay tuned to that'll be the very last thing that we do. You don't want to miss that. I tell you that right now. So let's not waste much more time. You're going to kick things off tonight. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You go for it. Let me get that music start going.
Alrighty.
If it'll work. I know it takes a second. I like how we just get used to it and we know you have to wait.
Yeah. Also, we always know that it might mess up a little bit here in the beginning with my audio, but is it working all right?
I think I hear the music. Do you?
Yeah, I can hear the music. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, your audio is fine right now. I'll wave you down if something happens.
All right, sounds good. All right, this is from a username, Jiko Araguma. He posted a couple stories that happened to him and his family's cabin out in the woods, and this is one of his stories. When I was very young, I lived up in the densely forested mountains of the Northwest. In those days, my parents still lived together, and I saw my sisters frequently. There are many adventures we had up in those mountains. I recall many hikes, playing in the mud, and seeing a lot of deer. My father is a craftsman by trade, a real jack of all trades kind of guy. At the time, we were planning to build a treehouse, but it was never developed beyond the main platform. We had several picnics up on that platform. I do recall one night climbing up there by myself. It was a summer night just before sunset. I wanted to watch the stars. I was fascinated by the constellation. As the sun sank below the distant peaks, the first stars came to light, and then the rest followed. It was truly a sight to behold. I sat out there for hours watching the stars drift slowly across the night sky. I was about to head down for the evening when I heard strange sounds out in the woods. I strained my eyes to see into the shaded brush between the trees. There was movement. It was slow moving, but it was moving towards me. I could also hear a strange sound, like a sort of swooshing rattle. All the hairs on my body stood at attention when I saw the creature. It was a lanky thing, crawling on all fours, its limbs bent in an unnatural way, as if it had no bones. It had wild and unkempt hair all over its body. most terrifyingly, it had massive, shimmering eyes that scanned the area. I sat wide-eyed, shaking at this crawling thing. At that moment, in the house, a light came on. The thing was almost as if it was pulled back into the woods. At that point, I immediately ran inside. I can't live in those mountains anymore. A lot of good memories from those days, but I can never forget what I saw that night.
I don't think any of us can. Wow.
So that reminds me of a couple of the previous stories I had talked about like a month or so ago now, like the weird lanky looking deer creature with like the spidery limbs and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, got questions coming in already. I wonder how they could tell it was crawling, and did they describe the face?
They didn't describe the face because I think it was a little too dark for him to see the face. He just described it as being very hairy, and it looked like it was like kind of like crab walking, I guess, from what he described it a little bit there towards him. And he could see the eyes, though. The eyes were glowing or appeared to catch all the light and reflect.
And of course, I am always multitasking here. So he was near a house when this happened, right? Because you mentioned
Yeah.
the light.
He was actually, all right, so he had a platform for a, what's it called? Treehouse right next to his cabin that he lived at or where they were vacationing at. And so he was up on that platform and the house is right next to him, basically.
Why was he up there at that time again?
He wanted to watch the stars and
That's
watch
right.
the constellations and stuff.
Stargazing. That's when
Yeah.
he picked up on some movement.
Yeah. And then he heard that weird shushing sound it made as it was going towards him.
Like a 3-pointer going in, or kind of swooshing or sush?
Shushing, like,
Okay,
so
okay.
it must be going like that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. And it was, I'm sure, could he hear it stepping on stuff? I mean,
He did say that he kind of heard it like going through the brambles and stuff, I think, in that story. Someone suggested in his comments towards him, they asked him, have you looked up skinwalkers? And, skinwalkers being a big thing. He said he did look up that. He wasn't certain that it was just by what he remembers seeing and what other people described skinwalker being. So this to me really seems more like that one creature, which was always on the western side of the country and the northwest and stuff like that. So yeah, this might be a different creature altogether.
he's looking down at it with vantage point, though. He's above it, and he sees it down on the ground.
Yeah, sees it coming out of the tree line towards him.
So there's a tree line, then there's mountains off in the distance.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And he has an vantage point. He's looking down. He sees this thing coming. Does this thing see him, he thinks?
So he says he describes it as coming towards him. So he thinks it definitely sees him.
Coming towards the stand he was in.
Yeah. But then once it sees that light, it kind of like pulls back.
So somebody inside, assuming a family member or somebody,
probably go into the kitchen or something.
Yeah, flips on the light in the room, and then you said it's like as if he got pulled back physically into the tree.
Yeah, like yanked back with such force, almost as if it was being pulled back.
You think that's something to do with somebody's asking? It's a good question. Could it have been a person?
Possibly. People are weird. They might crawl out of the woods like that. The only thing that is, obviously he was a younger kid. I don't know if he mentioned his exact age here, but he was definitely younger. And so maybe he's misremembering the glowing eyes, but he described them as being very large and glowing.
It's amazing how people see so well in the dark. Maybe, I'm wondering too if it was a person, but it seems like you would know. Why would a person come crawling? I guess they're trying to really sneak up to you.
Yeah.
But he said there was other things that stuck out about it though. That wasn't very human like.
Yeah, he said described the arms and legs bending as if there were no bones in them.
Yeah.
And that it had like straggly hair all over it.
So maybe they're almost like rolled up, like you can't really do with your bones. And he said hairy. Yeah, you just said that. You used the term hairy.
Yeah. So he, I
Like
think
hair everywhere.
I believe he described it as being all over the body. Let me double check that actually.
I like how we ask you all these questions that may or may not even you would never even know because you didn't even.
What? Yeah, wild and
experience it.
unkempt hair all over its body, not just in the head.
All over its body.
Yeah.
Maybe Bigfoot was crawling.
Yeah, like a really gangly, creepy Bigfoot.
You think the light could actually hurt it, or was just afraid of it?
That's a good question. I was assuming it was just afraid of there being more people. Like maybe this thing isn't particularly physically capable of overpowering an adult human, but maybe a small child it could take.
And the Skinwalker seemed like they wanted you to come to them.
Yeah, they would.
This thing was sneaking up on him.
Yeah, they usually try to get you to come into the woods.
Wow. That's pretty creepy, though. It's something you wouldn't forget, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You're going to spend the rest of your life wondering, like, what the hell did I see, you know?
Yeah.
You'll probably never know. All right, see if we got any more comments. Okay, we're all caught up on the quote. Anybody got any questions in? You better get in now because we're about to move on. But I think that, to me, it's definitely frightening. And I wonder what, when he went inside and he told them what he saw, what they thought. Like, what would you say if somebody come in the house and they're like, this happened? You know, they'd be like, you're full of it.
Well, if it's a little kid, you probably tell them, oh, you need to go to bed.
Yeah, you're sleepy, little baby. You wouldn't automatically. I don't know.
Probably say it was an owl.
Yeah. the gray horn owls, just like in Kentucky with the alien sighting.
Yeah.
Oh, someone said probably think they were on something. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's crazy though. I wonder what time did he say it was?
Well, he said it was past dark because he watched the stars come out.
Just past dark. Okay.
Yeah. So
well, it's nighttime then.
Yeah, and it is during the summer, so it'd be later in the day.
Yeah, sun takes a while. Yep. So it's late, but who knows what time exactly? I don't know. I'll be curious. Didn't seem like it meets all the criteria of a skinwalker, though, from my expert opinion of hearing 3 stories from me of skinwalkers.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, to me, it sounds more like the other thing, which people just call a not deer.
Yeah, the not deer. That's the greatest story in the history of mankind.
Yeah,
it's not a deer. That's all you know, right? Could be anything else.
No
but
kidding.
We'll move on. That was a good one. That's a good way to start it off. Somebody said crazy stuff happens at 2 a.m. I always thought it was like 3 a.m. was that hour. 3 a.m. is the hour. Crazy stuff can happen at any time. I think that's what I'm learning from all these stories. And I've got one that shows you crazy stuff can happen at any time. Go ahead.
My story at the end is going to be broad daylight. So the very last one I got for myself.
Yeah.
So it could be any time of day.
Oh, man. Yeah, we're live across 8 platforms right now. So if you want to comment along, feel free to do so. Some people already are. And I'm going to go ahead and get into the next one.
Sounds good.
This story is called That's My Baby. This is an actually really old Reddit post that's deleted.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been deleted for several years, but this story is absolutely crazy. So able to track it down through some screenshots that people had of it back then. So I'm excited. But yeah, That's My Baby is the name of it. My husband. Okay, I got to get the music on. How can I forget that?
Oh, yeah.
Let me know if I sound okay. Up or down?
You're a little bit breaking up. Your voice is.
Am I better now?
You are good now. Yeah.
I got through it. Okay. This is called That's My Baby. My husband and I were at the supermarket and our baby was being especially fussy. So we took the baby on a quick drive, the motion of which usually calms the baby down. It took only about 10 minutes to settle her down, and I was in the store, but unsure how much longer I'd be in there. There's no reception inside, so my husband was the one doing this with the baby. So he's the one driving around, trying to get the baby to sleep. Very common thing to use a car. People do that to drive around to get the baby to fall asleep. So it says he pulled back up into the parking lot to wait for me. And it was an unseasonably nice day. So he took her in the car seat and he had the carrier and went over to sit on one of the benches outside of the store. He took a business call and sat down with the baby in the carrier. A woman well-dressed in mid-30s and an average height approached them. It's not uncommon for people to approach that to look at the baby. She is cute. She's got big rosy cheeks, soft wisp of gold hair, and the most adorable toothless grin. And she looks even cuter when she's taking a nap. But her nap schedule was paramount. So my husband saw the woman approaching and being prepared to talk and converse with the baby like people often do. He was prepared to tell her that she couldn't, and the baby was taking a nap. The lady walked up and asked if she could hold the baby, and at this point in time, he said just like he would do, the baby is taking a nap. She acted like she was going to walk away for a second, and this is when things got interesting. She turned back around with nonchalant, great confidence, and before he even finished the sentence explaining that she was napping and not to be touched, she picked up the carrier and started walking off. He was in shock for that moment, not fully believing someone would be ballsy enough to do this, something so sinister like this in plain daylight. He said, "Excuse me, can you put her down?" His panic mounted, but she remained calm the entire time, which was strange. He was panicking, but she was calm. He called after her a little bit loud, repeating the same thing. "Put her down. Come back with her." The lady started to walk away more briskly than she had approached. He ran at this point to catch up with her, trying to grab the carrier out of her hands, finally resulting to restraining her arms. And the woman starts yelling, "Help! He's taking my baby! Please call 911! Help me!" She was kicking him in the shin and pulling a pink bottle of pepper spray out of her handbag. Of course, no one in the parking lot was clocking or realized what had happened earlier, right before this interaction, and assumed immediately that he was a kidnapper. A lone man in a Deadpool t-shirt versus a tiny, well-dressed woman. Immediately, a man knocked my husband to the ground and was holding him down. He could hear bystanders encouraging the woman to file a police report and call the police, but she was doing a very convincing job of acting shaken up, insisted she just wanted to get home and get away from there. My husband was in a raw state of panic, realizing the entire parking lot had banded together to inadvertently facilitate the kidnapping of our daughter. He was begging and pleading with them, but nobody would listen. They just kept screaming at him. The jig was up, and he needed to remain laying there because the police would be there soon. And how could he do such a thing like this, terrorizing a young mother? My husband finally had the idea to show them family photos on his phone, but too panicked to think clearly. The way he manifested this was by shouting, "I have pictures of the baby on my phone." Of course, everybody interpreted this as him having some strange stalking pictures of the photos of the baby or something worse, possibly. I guess it was at this point that a man, and I can't really entirely blame him for this, because considering what he thought my husband was doing, kicked my husband as hard as he could in the ribs, which ended up breaking several ribs. At this point, I was coming out of the store, and I thought that he was being robbed by these people. I was yelling for security, so panicked, my chest constricted, I couldn't even get out a sound. It was then that I realized that he did not have our baby with him. Then I looked over and I saw she was being held by a woman. I was relieved. I thought maybe the woman intervened to move our daughter out of harm's way. And while my husband was being robbed, she was walking away to get help. I couldn't find a security guard outside in the near area, so I ran up to these people that were holding my husband down, and I was waving my wallet repeatedly at them and tell them, "Take whatever you want. Please, take whatever you want. Just leave us alone, please." One of the men holding him down said something like, "Lady, we need to wait for the police to deal with him." I was so confused. Why would the muggers have to call the police? I said, "What do you mean? What are you talking about?" I made out someone saying something like he tried to abduct that woman's child. I didn't understand. I was sure I'd misheard them. My husband would never hurt a child. We have 4 kids. If he was going to commit a crime, bringing home another kid would be the last thing he would do. I kept trying to understand what they were all saying. There were so many voices coming from everywhere. Then suddenly, it all clicked. I looked around for the woman who had the baby carrier, and she was already halfway across the parking lot. I went into total ballistic tiger cub mode. Literally leaped out of my heels and sprinted across the parking lot. I'm not a UFC fighter or anything. Heck, I've never even taken a self-defense class. So all I could think of doing was grabbing the lady by her hair. And I squeezed her face with my other hand. It didn't do much. She was starting to get away even as I grappled with her. Amazingly, none of the other bystanders had yet to connect that my husband was telling the truth, and this woman was trying to leave with our baby. I yanked on her hair as hard as I could, and that was enough to make her drop the carrier, put the carrier down on the ground. I was scared and surprised that I actually didn't know what to do, so I threw myself on top of the carrier and covered the entire thing like a blanket. The woman at this point quickly left the area. Not even one person tried to stop her. Even though she was clearly leaving without the child she claimed was hers, which would be pretty damn incriminating if I'd watched all that. Within the next couple of minutes, the police arrived. After that, there were still bystanders who claimed that my husband was trying to kidnap the baby. The police, to my horror, assumed that she must have not had bad intentions, and the first questions they asked me after getting her description of the lady was things like, maybe you shouldn't press charges on her. They were still placing the blame on my husband. Here's a small sample of what they're saying. Do your husband and the baby not look alike? Is there a chance she thought that he was actually taking the baby and she was trying to intervene? Could your husband have been doing something violent and maybe it made her feel compelled to take the baby? Did she seem confused? They spent more time verifying that the baby was actually mine than concerning themselves with the fact that the baby was not actually hers. My husband at this point called his brother, who worked in an office with a lot of lawyers, and we connected with one ASAP on the scene, who gave us the priceless advice to get every officer's badge name and to request copies of the store security tapes right away and to escalate the complaint higher up the chain. Didn't seem like they were taking us very serious at this point, the officers. Finally, after much debate and many questions on our part and request, we had a reason to believe that we were being taken serious, and we headed home. We both just shook and cried until we had to go get our other kids from school. My husband is seething with rage and grappling with the fear of helplessness from how little he was able to do, and multiple cracked ribs on top of this from the man who kicked him. I guess, to the officer's credit, they did ask if we wanted to press charges against the man, but considering the man was convinced that he was stopping to kidnap it at that time, and he even stayed after to talk to the police and apologized several times when the truth became clear. My husband declined to press charges. Amazingly and frustratingly, there were still people who stuck around to talk to the police, giving us dirty looks and still convinced that my husband, was involved with kidnapping. I even heard one man tell the police they should get CPS involved to verify the baby is actually ours.
Good Lord. That's messed up.
Yeah, after the flea market one last week, I was like, oh, I gotta share this one. That's creepy. So we talked about last week, right? It's like a similar scenario-ish.
Very.
But I don't think the husband did anything wrong. Like the last week when we talked about the flea market one, the guy was not paid attention with his kid, right?
Yeah,
But
he was Father of the Year material.
in this case, the woman just comes up, takes the kid, and just starts heading off.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, when I read this one, I was like, dang, this is a crazy story. That you're right though. That takes like a lot of who just walks in there.
That's a crazy person's thing to do.
Or I guess it was outside the store. Who just walks up outside the store and does that?
Oh, wow.
But I can see. Okay, so obviously I've made a lot of babies in my day. I can see the situation that they're talking about when somebody's like approaching the baby, like what a cute baby. I'm gonna talk to the baby, whatever. Maybe even touch a baby's hair, something like people do, and then to just take off with it. That's just crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Man, I can't even fathom how you could react in that situation any better than what they did react. This was like a nightmare scenario, but it's so crazy that it kind of shuts down all your ability to process the information. It's like this nuts. Nobody's going to be that nuts to just walk up and pick up a kid and go.
They even talked about how, and everybody's commenting along live, hey, Tori, hey, everybody else, we got things. We'll go ahead and throw some up here. This woman is insane, someone said. Nightmare situation, someone said. Then someone else comments, at least they got the baby back. Yeah, so I could really feel for the husband because you'd be in a panic state at that point in time, and you'd be like, I've got photos, and it wouldn't come across like genuine.
Man, that's messed up.
You got to think though, there's a chance you might side with the woman if you didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, it happens a lot of times where, like, you got this one random guy acting a little crazy, and then you got this put together woman. They're gonna assume, yeah, he's the one that's crazy, because the idea that someone is that nuts that they'll just walk up calmly, pick up the carrier, and start walking off with it is infathomable. You wouldn't be able to believe that someone could do that, but apparently they can.
You wouldn't be able to believe it, but you can almost picture this playing out in front of you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
People are holding the guy down. Call the police. Call the police. And meanwhile, she's just kind of sneaking off across the parking lot with the carrier.
I got to tell you, I don't care how relieved I would be afterwards. I would still press charges against that guy that kicked me.
Wow. Yeah. What do you think, you listening out there live? Would you press charges against the guy that thought he was doing right? Luke would.
Yeah.
I mean, truly did get several broken ribs. That would be terrible. But can you see, I guess, better way to word it, can you feel the emotions that must have been going through this man as he went home?
Yeah.
That feeling of hopelessness, right? We's men, we's tough.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, that would be a terrible feeling. Like, hey, this is my job to be the protector.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's crazy. That I honestly didn't expect that story. That story is nuts. I'm just thinking, like, I keep coming back to, all right, so when she came out the store, that scene had to be something that you could never dream of happening. You see these people surrounding your husband, and you don't know what's going on there.
You think that he's just being robbed, right? And you see this lady off in the distance, kind of walking away with the baby, like, and you got to like figure out what's going. You have to process information very quickly here.
Yeah, and that's too much. That's too much for people to process. So that's why it's like she took a second before she even realized what was happening.
This happened much faster than we all laid it all out too by phone.
Yeah. Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, we got a lot of people listening live on. Looks like Twitter is the most. People on YouTube. We got people on every platform right now.
Nice.
Somebody said, now I would say keep the woman there too, just in case. Well, the thing is, I think what happened was this lady may never even went to the store. Who knows, right? Could have just walked up from outside. Then she I assume this altercation took place somewhere on the mid to the end of the parking lot. And she just kind of sneaks off. Nobody at this point was probably understanding what was going on. I'm sure it was confusing for everybody involved.
Yeah, you got a lot of people, trying to process all that, yelling at each other. Probably there's probably even more altercations that we don't even know about. And then afterwards, you're just like, oh, where'd she go? It's like,
yeah. Tell you what, it makes me want to do.
Most of these stories make me do that.
Yeah, that's a scary story. That's scarier than the flea market one.
Yeah, that was.
The baby, it's defense. I mean, he can't even process anything,
Yeah, that is definitely worse.
Everybody banned against the guy. That'd be so terrible.
Oh, it's just the worst. That's so crazy.
Well, I was excited for you to hear that one. The look of disgust on your face was there, and you'd press charges. So,
yeah, screw that guy.
You're going to hell. You're pressing charges.
Yeah.
All right, man. You're up next.
All right.
What you got going on? I'll start getting the music ready. I can find it here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sound all right? I hear the music.
So far, so good.
All right. Mine is also going to take place in like a parking situation. This is going to be in a parking garage here. All right. So she writes this. This happened to me when I was 19. Me and my friends decided to hang out at the local mall on the busier side of town. We shopped all day and stayed in the food court until they closed. The mall was one of the latest operating businesses in town, so when we got out, it was basically a ghost town outside. I believe it was close to midnight. I was one of the only people in the group with a car. Most of the others rode bikes or had a parent or friend pick them up. My car was parked on the third story of the parking garage. It was mostly empty, and I assumed most of the cars still left belonged to the night staff and security. As I climbed higher, the cold, dim garage began to creep me out. I defensively crossed my arms as I got closer to my car. Slowly, I began to notice a sound. It was a distant sobbing. Getting closer to my car, the cries grew louder, and I became concerned and upset as I passed by my car to investigate the sound. It seemed like it was a lost child or something. I came to this turn where the ramp continued up to the 4th floor, and peeking around the corner, I saw a big work van idling. I was scared. I kept peeking, and I saw a pair of legs standing behind the van, extremely still. This is when I noticed something about the crying I was hearing. There was another sound mixed in. It was an occasional pop or clicking noise, almost like a minuscule firecracker or bubble wrap. I recognized the sound and my blood ran cold. It was a microphone pop. The sound came at the start and end of a recording. The crying sound was looping, and it was coming from the van. That's when I gasped and ran to my car. I heard the van start rolling forward and soon shift into gear. I barely made it into my car and out of the garage. The van followed me for almost an hour as I circled around town, trying to lose them. They eventually gave up, and I made it home. Be mindful of where you park and who you're with. Even those buildings have security cameras that only help after you've gone missing. These buildings are a perfect place for bad people to find their victims.
Let me start off by saying this. I love, and I'm not trying to take away from the story. I love how we're randomly playing music. Those of you listening, we're randomly playing music. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just a loop of scary-ish music. And there were multiple times I'm listening to that, and the music's dropping when you get. It's like everything was timing perfect. And I know when you're reading it, you don't know. You're in the zone. But it was crazy how that timed out. I'm sure people listening picked up on that too. It was crazy.
I notice it in your stories a lot.
Yeah, it's like, how the heck does it time out like that? All right, we got some people commenting on. Sounds like the beginning of a Saw movie. Yes, that did. Were they luring them? Yes, they were, for sure. Yeah,
I'm assuming they saw her coming up by herself.
But she was going to go up there anyway, right? Because that's where her car was.
Well, but this was, but they described it as being up on the 4th floor. She kind of went past her car and looked around up the ramp to the next level where the sound was coming from. So they were leading her past her car.
This sounds like it was planned for sure.
Definitely, yeah. I'm assuming they saw her inside the place. They probably knew she had a car out there. And then they saw her coming up and they started playing that sound.
What was the sound again?
It was a crying child.
A crying child, but she could hear the that it was a recording at the end.
The little sound when sound loops over sometimes.
Yeah. And the creepy part is, so she has a straight on view of the vehicle, and you can see the legs on the other side of it. And assumed to be an adult not moving.
Yeah.
This is a parking garage, right?
Yeah, parking garage. At least a 4-story one. And the capital city here in this state, you go out there at night, it's dangerous at times.
Oh, I do. I go all the time to the baseball games and stuff in downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's if you're all alone at night late, I can see where it'd be concerning.
Yeah. And there's quite a bit of shootings up there. And so you can see this being like a dangerous part of town to be in at night by yourself. She said it was a ghost town usually, but that big of a parking garage, it's definitely a bigger town. And she's just used to being in a big city. So she kind of let her guard down there a bit. And it's definitely not something you want to do. It is scary. And this definitely seems like a real story to me.
Chill with the homeless people. Yeah, there probably are some there for sure. Somebody commented on that. I think it was very noteworthy that she brought up. Lost my train of thought there. I was trying to think what I was going to say. Too many reading comments and trying to go along here. That she brought up that I just can't get over. I guess the person standing there.
Yeah.
And she's very well aware though that how bad of a situation this is beforehand. So
Yeah, she was creeped out beforehand before she even heard these sounds.
she brings up which was what I was just thinking, even about the security cameras. A comment she made. What was it again? That those are only going to be good after
you've been abducted. Yeah. And then there's only so much help.
Yeah, there's not somebody usually just sitting at a parking garage security camera, I would assume. So
No.
And I don't know how tall it was. I don't know if the fourth floor was the highest.
Yeah,
but you're far away down from the people working on the first floor letting you in and out if there's somebody there doing that.
Yeah, they're not going to hear anything go on up there.
No. Creepy. Oh, man. Makes me think I'll probably be in a parking garage here in the next couple of months, going to some baseball games in Indianapolis, watching the Indians, and I'm going to think of that.
Oh yeah, we're going to be up there for a convention in August, so we'll probably
cosplay convention. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's even scarier. You don't know what you're going to get into.
Yeah. You won't know terror until you see a person dressed up as an anime character coming at you with a knife.
All jokes aside, it seemed like they'd probably done this before.
Definitely. It definitely seemed like something that they had success with, playing this audio. That seems like someone has deliberately been planning this, probably done it before, and gotten away with it. Which is the real terrifying thing, because these people still got away. She just lost them. They're still out there.
Creepy. All right, I got the next story.
Alrighty.
This is called Walmart Stalker. I guess it goes along with the theme that we've set tonight, which is extremely creepy. Coming in all right? Now you're cutting out when you're talking. Am I cutting out when I'm talking? Am I good?
You're good. That was weird.
Yeah, you were cutting out, not me. Okay, so I'm good.
Yep.
Again, this story is called Walmart Stalker. For a bit of context, I'm a 22-year-old female, 5'2" and about 125 pounds. My mother is 45, 5 foot nothing, and would blow over in the wind. We both look much younger than our actual ages, and due to having small statures, we tend to have run-ins with creeps because it tends to attract creeps trying to take advantage of people. I tend to carry a small arsenal on me at all times: pepper spray, taser, Swiss Army knife, and etc. It's impressive. I tend to be pretty confident that I can handle myself. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't judge, because we live in a big city and I'm a small girl. This particular night was the worst we've experienced with creepers so far. My mother and I were grocery shopping at our usual Walmart. It was later on in the day, around 7 p.m., something we tried to avoid because, as we said before, we have a run-in with creepers. We tend to. We just pulled into the parking lot and began our trek inside. We spotted 5 young men, older than myself, but still young, standing outside the store laughing near the front doors. I pay it no mind when they glance at me and my mom, and when we walk inside to grab the carts. The men all head inside now, and I shrug it off, but keep a mental note of their faces. I tend to be on the paranoid side. We head inside, moving straight for the grocery section. As we shop, I keep noticing 2 or 3 of the 5 men are in each aisle that we go to. Alarm bells start to go off, but I push the paranoia aside and just keep my head high as we walk. Most of the time, confidence puts the creepers off. I make sure to go down a few random aisles to test, and sure enough, my test proved positive, as they were always there in those aisles too. Well, my mom starts to notice as well. The more aisles we go down, and her hand squeezes mine, and a warning as she shoots one of the men a very bad glare. We stop in the cereal aisle. She tended to still be Mama Bear, despite that I'm a grown woman. The guy, who's now moved on about 2 2 feet from our cart, just glances over and smirks at her. He's tall, lanky, with short, dark hair, partially hidden under a ball cap, and a pointed, rat-like face. Mom just narrows her eyes, unnerved at this point as a response, and she looks over at me and shoots me an unsure glance. I shrug this off before moving to grab a box off the shelf a little whiles away. The hair on the back of my neck at this point begins to suddenly stand up as I turn around and I see yet another guy has walked up, another one of the guys. This one is blonde, shaggy, oily hair hanging on from his chin with his hands tucked in a gray reflective material hoodie. Looked like a Punisher hoodie. He's staring up at the boxes, but a smirk is on his face, and he directly stands in my path, right in front of me. My stomach flips, and I grip my teeth as I snap, "Excuse me." I try to go around him, but he just moves again, right back into my path. I glare at him now, trying to communicate with him with my facial expression that I'm not finding his antics funny, and my mom seems to notice this, comes to my rescue, and pushes the cart directly between the two of us, the man and I, and she says to me, "Ready?" I nod, and he takes the hint to move on now, smiling with yellow teeth as he nods to us. Mom only glares, grabbing my arm and hustling us to another aisle. Again and again, we run into these guys, and once we finish shopping, I'm afraid they might try to follow us outside. So we began roaming all over the store, taking different routes and aisles. We seem to lose them after a while, and we both feel relaxed, figuring they finally gave up. We head to the checkout, our Walmart having a self-checkout line made for grocery trips. So we start checking ourselves out. Halfway through unloading our items, I get that hair standing up feeling again. As I turn and I notice at the lane to the right of us, as you guessed, it's the same 5 guys. This time, all of them. My stomach drops. Eyes moving to my mom, who stares at them with wide eyes and her eyebrows raised. Trying to shake it off, we take our sweet time ringing things up. We figure, seeing as the guys had no more than 5 to 10 items between them, and we have a full cart, they would surely move faster than us. Wrong. It seems no one else had decided to check out in our lane so they could go as slow as they wanted. And oh boy, did they. For the next what felt like at least 10 minutes, they just sat there and watched us as we were bringing our groceries up, and every now and then they would ring a random item up. My mom grabs my arm and we share a look. I shake my head, starting to get freaked out, as my mom, starting to panic, grabs her phone and calls my dad. In her state of panic, however, she turns and wanders a few feet away. Not her best moment, she admits. And when I turn to bring out the last few items, the ball cap guy is standing right there by me at this point. We stare at each other. He had a gross stare on his face with messed up teeth. I only glare, dropping the chicken into the bag before... Let me rephrase that. I dropped the chicken in the bag before reaching out to the last item, ringing it up. He's still partially glaring at me, but I'm just remaining with my eyesight down into the cart at this point. Mom, now off the phone, hurries back over, only to see the ball caps guy standing there while the other 4 sit on the bench located 3 feet away, all watching us. Ball cap guy simply takes out the empty Gatorade bottle he's been holding and chucks it into the trash can by the register, which broke our eye contact before he goes to sit back down with all of his friends. Keep in mind, they had a trash can right by their register, but made it known to throw it clear over to ours. Mom and I, not knowing what to do, start fiddling around, hoping they'd be impatient and leave. Nope, as we continue at this point to pay and get our receipt, they're still there. So Mom grabs my arm and steers me towards customer service, telling them that my dad told us to have security walk us out. The guys move and walk out once we head over there, and I feel relieved they finally left. The lady at customer service were amazing and very understanding, and stood with us the entire time, waiting for security. A big man with a calm and confident persona came over to take descriptions and said he'd review the cameras. He looked around the front doors before letting us leave, and they were nowhere to be found. When we got back, he told us that he went out to the entrances and found... Okay, he did find them. Let me start over that. I'm tearing this story up. He checked the doorways. When he came back, he told us, as we were standing in customer service, that he found 5 men matching their descriptions, hanging out around the front door as if they were waiting for something. He said the minute they saw him, they took off, and he promised to walk us to our car and let the officer outside know what was going on. We thanked him and the ladies, and we thankfully made it to our car with no problems and haven't seen those men again. So those creepy-ass guys who stalked us at Walmart, I just hope we never, ever see them again.
That is some serious douchebaggy behavior on their part. What a bunch of creeps.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be very blatant. Just trying to. It kind of seems like just literally trying to creep them out, mess with them.
Yeah, it does seem like that. Maybe they had worse intentions, but it almost seems like they were just being, a bunch of asshats and just, trying to gross them out and creep them out. But they could have been up to worse. More likely they could have been. And, it was a good thing that they got security to walk them out. It's weird that more than half of our stories have been in like a parking lot of some sort of major place.
Well, I brought this up. Somebody said it's a very unnerving situation. Yeah, I couldn't even read it. It was so unnerving. But everybody has a local Walmart, I feel like. And like every time I go to Walmart, I feel like I see some odd people that could meet this description.
Yeah, especially when at night. Especially back when it used to be 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing's 20. It's not 24 hours anymore. Yeah, you definitely could. They said it was 7 p.m. But yeah, you're right. The people late at night. Yeah, I don't know. I could feel for this story. That's why I shared it. It was definitely a creepy one.
It's very creepy because this will happen at any Walmart in the country. It could happen anywhere.
I don't know the whole timeline because it seemed like a very long time. Like they were literally trying to buy time, going around the store, and these guys are still in every aisle, making sure they stand close to them, just doing very creepy stuff.
Yeah, and you got those people who used to hang out there all night long doing weird stuff, and so
people used to hang out in the parking lot all the time at these Walmarts. So
yeah, that's definitely just douchebaggy behavior and really gross. And
you think they had big trucks?
I guarantee it. Guarantee it.
I've got to get some heat on that one, ain't I?
Yeah. Oh. Everyone's got to get canceled sometime.
Yeah, that might do it. That might be the end. Well, let's see what they say. People are saying all guys know how creepy moments like this are, so they tried to avoid them. The ones who don't are very creepy. Yeah, I think as a man or as a person even, you often realize I could come across really strange.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst when you accidentally keep bumping into somebody at Walmart or something or someplace like that. It's like, I'm not stalking you. I just have to get this too. But it always comes across weird, and even if you don't want it to be. Or like I feel weirded out running into people over and over again. I'm just like, I don't want to see this person again. I'm gonna look like a creeper.
Yep. Yeah, you can order everything to your house, but
yeah, I do that now.
Still can't avoid sometimes having to go somewhere, I guess.
Yeah. I go to Walmart once a year now. It is ever since Instacart became a thing.
Yeah.
I got addicted to that, and I only use that now.
I think the thing I can really picture here is it really stands out to me is this checkout, like how long these guys are taking to check out, like no items.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get, so like once you hit a certain time at Walmart, there's like nobody around that's going to help you.
Yeah.
Or even if there's also another scenario where there's so many people around, nobody's going to help you. But if you hit a certain time, I can see what they're saying. I don't know how big their town is. I don't remember what they said, but you're just going to be left hanging to fend for yourself. So it was actually, she did call her husband, but it was a good idea to go to that customer service room.
Yeah, that's definitely like the time you need it.
Because what would have happened if they just would have went out the door, like kept going,
it could have been really bad, or it could just been them creeping on them some more, harassing them all the way to the car, or it could have gone really, really bad. this is definitely their best decision ever, was to go to that customer service.
Yeah. Sound like they had some helpful security, and it sounded like you ended up having cops outside.
Yeah,
You're reading the story, but I think the point came across. Walmart is very creepy and scary.
it is.
Is that all of our stories before we go into your personal one?
I think so. Yeah. Now we're on to my personal one.
Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's do this. Let's play a video.
All
We'll
right.
come back and pick our favorite story so far. Then we'll go into your personal one.
Sounds good.
This is a clip that is from one of your favorite movies. It's one of your favorite scenes of movies. Luke, I've known you for a really long time, and I know this is one of your favorite movie scenes. So we'll watch this. We'll come back and pick what our favorite story of the night was.
Okay.
You're holding back.
Yes.
Don't. So does every guy have to go through all this just to find out your name?
Try asking for my number.
You know what's weird? I was actually going to look up that scene yesterday. It popped into my head and it was involved with something I was doing. I was going to look it up and I was going to send it to somebody. But then I got busy. I didn't have time and I forgot to do it.
I love how I just repeated of the story in the captions of the night. I just double typed it. I'm never going to change it either. I don't really care. Somebody said that's how the guys at Walmart thought they looked. Imagine leaving Walmart and you saw that.
You know what I hate and love about that scene? All those kids cheering him on to fight. Those kids don't know that he's blind. They also don't know that he's Daredevil, and they don't know she's Elektra or whatever. As far as they know, this is just some guy about ready to beat up this woman in their playground.
It doesn't make much sense, no.
And then also the first part where he throws the cane up in the air.
Yeah, that thing was up there forever.
And it lands perfectly into his hand again. Like,
what do you think the airtime of that was? 5 seconds?
I think it is 5 seconds, at least several seconds. And it's
got that
weird. Yeah, I need to actually do the calculations on how far up he threw that. I don't know.
I don't know, but I know you'd love that scene. Because on this particular time, I could see your face.
Oh,
I don't think anybody watching could, but I can behind like the scenes down there because I'm producing it. And just the immediate look on your face when this scene started was priceless.
I didn't know that was what you were going to do. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, this is the exact scene I was going to send somebody yesterday. So it was super weird.
I don't know. I think and I didn't get it on there. The most creepy part is, I don't remember if it's this interaction or earlier when he just walks by and she's like nearby and he knows.
Yes, I think that happens in a scene prior to this. Like, he's just like, oh, because he recognizes her smell or something like that.
I guess, yeah.
Super weird. Also, like, his hair never gets messed up, no matter what happens.
That rain scene. I need to find the rain scene.
The rain scene. His hair's perfectly the same.
It's like in a downpour, and he's just like,
he's got like 4 cans of Aquanet on his hair or something to keep it.
Who's the bad guy in that movie that he beats?
Bullseye.
There's another guy at the end.
Kingpin.
Who played that? What's his name? Michael Clark Duncan. What's his name?
Yeah, Michael Clark Duncan.
Great actor.
Yeah, he was.
Yep. He just didn't he just like slide under them and kick out the back of his kneecap?
Yeah,
and that's how it ended.
That looks so painful. Like, if you think about it, like,
it's really how it would end. Yeah.
Yeah, get both your knees blown out by something.
It's not really how a movie typically ends.
No. That movie is not like a typical movie.
No. So would you agree with me that's your favorite movie ever? Your favorite scene?
It's up there.
All right, let's go to the people. Somebody's saying that they liked the baby. That's my baby story.
Yeah, that one is good. I mean, it's not good, but like, it's terrible.
You feel bad saying good. Yeah. Somebody liked your parking garage story. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the first one too. It's probably a little underrated. I wish I could have heard more details about that thing crawling on the
creepy
ground.
thing. Yeah. I will say that, because he was a kid, you can only get so many details out,
Yeah.
So, the three stories in a row there, they were all realistic things that definitely happen all the time across the entire country. And they're all terrifying.
Yeah.
Kids being abducted or almost abducted, people being almost abducted in a parking garage, or creeps at the Walmart. And, those are all stories that are just terrifying in their own right. I'm kind of a stickler for monsters and ghosts and stuff like that. I like those stories a lot. So that's why I really like that first story too.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick a personal favorite one, I think it would probably be the parking garage with the guy in the van and that spooky, recording of the crying. That to me is just like something that was scary and creepy reading it. When I first read it, I was like, oh my God, I felt creeped out in my house.
Yeah. I felt creeped out listening to it, like put myself in that situation, but I really couldn't grasp, I guess, myself in that situation. But with the baby one in the beginning, I felt like I felt like I could be in that guy's position.
Oh yeah.
And you'd just be so helpless. It'd be the worst
It's
feeling.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
So Luke, let's segue to the end here. You've been telling me the last couple weeks that your garage, you've been experiencing some pretty freaky stuff.
Yeah. So it's not just me. Jack had seen some stuff out there, and you met our dad.
Mhm.
You wouldn't think that he's a very superstitious person.
Yeah, probably not. No.
He has definitely seen some stuff out there, and he says he sees it every day. It's not just once or twice; it's every day, and it happens pretty consistently every time me and Jack are out there doing work out there in the shop. But it happens during times of day where, a lot of times you don't hear about ghostly things happening, and it's broad daylight. And one of the first times it happened, I was like sitting by the door. So there's a big bay garage doors, and then we have a door.
Like two doors that open up, or like describe it to me here.
They like a barn door. They slide
come together and they close when they yeah. Okay.
And then we have a regular door right beside it. I was sitting right there, and I heard someone mumbling outside, and I heard footsteps in the gravel out by the bay door. I was like, oh, maybe it's one of our brothers or something showing up. So I opened the door. I was going to say hey, and I opened the door, look out. There's no one there, and the sounds have stopped. And I was like, well, that's weird. So I didn't think much of it. I just thought it was just, whatever. I heard someone next door or something like that. Well, then a week or so later, it was actually exactly a week later because we're back out there working again. And I hear it again. And this time, I quickly opened the door because I was like, well, someone's definitely walking right outside that door. And there was no one there again. And then Jack, at this point, he's sitting across the shop. He's just finished working on a pen. And he looks up and he says, Luke, there's someone looking in that bay door right now, the barn door. So I grab there's a piece of metal there, a little piece of angle iron. I grab it, I fling open the door, and there's no one there. But Jack saw a person looking right through the door.
Like looking through, like where the door comes together, how there's that gap?
Yeah.
Like, did he see an eye? Like, what was he seeing?
Yeah, he could see someone like bending down and looking through there. And, I'm out that door in 1 second flat. There's no time for a person to get away. And so Dad says, and he says, yeah, I see it every day. There's always someone on the other side of that door. And besides that, we've heard some other things out there. Things we can't explain in any way, shape, or form. Obviously we can't explain that either, but we've heard things. Like the only way I can describe it is things, some sort of creature. It sounds like a dog barking at first, but then it also sounds like voices.
Like close or off in the distance, or
Close by, like just outside. When you go outside at night, sometimes you'll hear them. They sound like dogs, but then you can hear a voice saying something like, "Come back," and stuff like that. I've also heard things on the roof. Now that could be attributed to anything, like a raccoon or something could get on that roof and move around. But sometimes these things sound heavy. And
thumping, walking, like describe to me
walking,
like they're walking across the top of the roof.
Yeah. And we never been able to figure that. I've never been able to figure it out. I've been out there at night and I've heard that usually when I hear stuff like that. Besides that, we've also heard what we've noticed in our immediate neighbor's yard, they have a security light. And that security light faces one side of our garage.
Motion detector, or
yeah, motion detector light, and their light comes on all the time. And if you could look out the window, there's nothing in their yard. We don't know why that motion light keeps getting turned on. There's no branches swaying in front of it. There's nothing walking that we can see, but it comes on constantly. And usually when we were out there for a little bit, it just keeps coming on. Every time it goes,
so you can tell when you're inside that it comes on.
Yeah.
Like there's a window or something that.
Yeah, our back window faces the garage, and you can see when that light comes on. Just come on. You can't see anyone out there or anything out there. Or if you're outside and you see that you're in the back of the garage, there's a window facing it, and you can't see anything out there. We have no idea what any of this is, but the creepiest is the thing on the other side of the door. That's the only way we could describe it, as something on the other side of that door that walks around and peeks in.
You know what we got to do, right? We got to get a camera on the inside pointing towards the door, and we got to get a camera on the outside pointing down towards the entry of the door.
Yeah, we do. And you also need to set up a audio recording out there, because you can hear like people talking sometimes by that door, and like no one's outside. Like I've gone out there, I've checked in the neighbors' yards. There's no one out there.
Someone asked, "Are you close enough to trigger the light?"
No, we're usually inside and it triggers, and you can see out in their yard.
You don't see stuff like looking you don't see anything creepy going off the window. It's just literally at the entrance of this garage, the bay door entrance.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to get some cameras set up there.
Yeah, it's super weird, and it's
super cheap too. You could do that. You could have cameras set up in a couple days.
I actually got a couple security cameras. I need to set them up. I just have not been doing it yet.
Oh, you got to now.
Yeah.
You
anyway,
catch this.
Like I said, it happens every day and any hour of the day.
More to come on this. We got to get this going.
We do. Well, maybe I'll get some videos by the next time we do this.
Yeah. Dang, that's creepy though. Looking in. Yeah. Have you ever experienced it looking in?
Well, so the way we have our workshop set up, all the tools that I use are facing away from the bay door, the big barn doors. So I'm usually like sitting closer to the door that leads outside, but I'm looking the other way because I'm sitting on a stool or something.
Gotcha.
But Jack, his tools face the other way. And so like if he's sitting down, he sees out that way.
Gotcha. The haunted garage. Yeah, we got the haunted workshop.
Yeah.
So let me ask you one more thing. So I don't know if Jack can explain this in further detail or not. How tall is the thing that's peering in? You said it seems like it's bent over. Does it seem like an adult size thing?
Definitely adult size, especially by the sound of the footsteps in the gravel. Like this is probably a medium to heavy set built person walking in the gravel.
We gotta get those cameras up. What are you gonna do if it's actually just a person?
Well, that would be terrifying in its own right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't know. We'll guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah. So you're trying to get there out that door as quick as possible, though. Every
Yeah.
time something happens.
I'm sitting in a stool literally right next to that door. I could get out that door in 1 second.
Is there a quick escape to get away from that? Like, then be so
No.
easy to do, or
Not close to that door? No.
is
Because
this attached to your house or off your house, or what?
it's off my house, but on the one side is a fence that you can't go through unless you vaulted. And then my house is kind of positioned up and to the right, so it's like a tunnel, a fence on one side, my house on the other, coming towards the barn door of that garage. If you were right there at that door, you would have to run down probably like 50, 60 feet and before you get away from my ability to see you, basically.
So creepy.
Yeah.
More to come on this one.
Yeah.
I would say I'm excited for you, but yeah, I'll just say it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I don't want to experience it, but I'm excited.
It's creepy. And
I'm curious though. You get those cameras going, what will be?
yeah. And like I said, most people have encountered this. Me, Jack, and Dad have all seen it or experienced it.
Whew.
And yeah, it's weird.
Well, that was I'm glad you shared that. I think everybody is waiting in suspense now. What happens next? I certainly am.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'll get some sort of recording of. I'll probably also try to record some audio from another thing.
Yeah, you have to show me what kind of cameras you have. I'm curious. I use a bunch of stuff, so
I got Ring cameras.
Ring. Okay, I use Wise. Yeah, there's plenty of stuff. You could easily do this.
Yeah, I'll get something rigged up.
You think you get something rigged up to the outside too?
Yeah. I
Oh,
just need to not be lazy, and I'll finally get it done.
You got to do it now. You got it. Yeah, we're all expecting it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Somebody said we could use a sponsorship for this. Yeah. If you want to, you want to give us some free cameras to do some of this.
Yeah, no kidding.
We're listening. We'll take it. Luke, this comes to the end of the episode. It was another fun one, man.
Yeah.
We encourage everybody to go to yourscarystories.com, submit those stories, reach out to us on all social media, every sort of platform. Your Scary Stories.
Reddit is share your scary stories.
Reddit is share your scary stories. I think Twitter might be something else, but that everybody still goes to my Twitter for everything. So that's fine. I'm at Podcast Father. That's where all the stuff is. That's where the YouTube is. Jeff Townsend Media. The handle is at Podcast Father. We're releasing new clips every day on YouTube. Of course, it's available on podcast form, also audio, wherever you listen to podcasts. But I encourage the video. Not only do I encourage the video, I encourage you to join us live Mondays at 10:45 p.m. Eastern. I will say this, though. We're going to take the last Monday of every month off. Why, you're asking? Because I got to catch up on editing it. I can't edit fast enough with all the other stuff that I do. So we're going to do that. That'll give us a little bit of a bye week every month to try to get things ready, too. So,
yeah.
Again, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll be back. We'll have next week off, and we'll be back a week after that. But like I said, go to YouTube, Your Scary Stories, and you'll find videos every day. Anything else before we send this off, Luke?
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing what we capture on camera. And also I'm looking forward to beginning of March doing another episode because I can't wait to share some more scary stories.
Absolutely. But until that happens, keep being you and keep being great.
Jeff Townsend Media. CG, good night.
And the question is, do I stay here? Will you be back? Are you gonna come back? Will you be back? Are you coming back?